The Tokyo Transit System is commonly known as the largest, most complex, and beloved transit system in the world. Shinjuku holds the busiest metro station in the world with 3.6 million daily users, roughly 2.6 million users above any of the potential runner-up candidates outside of Japan. Japan's railway system is so successful and widely used that 45 of the top 51 largest railway stations in the world, at least in terms of numbers of passengers, are all in Japan, most of which coming from the capital city of Tokyo. Despite it being a relatively old transit system, Tokyo is home to insanely efficient and advanced networks, all while being the cleanest and safest in the world. We're going to be talking about all of that and more on this week's episode of This Was Due for My Japanese Society and Policy class. What makes the Tokyo Transit System so incredible is many things, but one important part is the way that its transit network is designed. The Tokyo Transit System is filled with many different commuter rail and subway systems that are integrated and connected so well that they bear almost no effect on the average rider. There is almost no distinction between train and subway lines as they use the same tracks and have a similar build, unlike the rest of the world. In the US, for instance, many subway and train lines have to meet at entirely different stations when going to the same destination. In Japan, it doesn't matter if it's a subway or a commuter rail train. They can run on the same track with the same infrastructure in the same stations, meaning a single train can ride on commuter rail, commuter rail, then subway again, like the Tokyu Toyoko line that connects with the Minatomirai line. The extensive, complex, and highly integrated commuter rail and subway systems make public transit a far more viable means of transportation throughout the city than regular passenger vehicles. Even in the dead of night where there is no traffic on the streets, a car ride to your destination is long, less convenient, and expensive in comparison with alternative modes. I mean, I was holding my phone up for way longer than I intended taking this video, and we ain't even there yet. Okay, now we're there. Another reason that the interconnectedness of the train and subway systems is so helpful is the presence of the Yamanote line. The Yamanote line is essentially the jewel of the entire Tokyo transit system. While other transit systems have one or several central stations, Tokyo essentially has a central line. The Yamanote line is a loop line that stops at every major station in Tokyo, such as Shinjuku, Shibuya, Ikebukuro, Tokyo, Shinagawa, Takadanobaba, Ueno, and Akihabara. Thank you. That was me doing my best impression of how the loudspeaker announces these stations. The line services up to 5 million people a day, which is over 1/3 of the entire city's population using this single line. Trains on the Yamanote line come in 2 to 5 minute intervals, and it takes only an hour to make the complete 30-station loop around all of central Tokyo, a feat seemingly impossible for all of us here in LA. Imagine being able to go to Santa Monica, WeHo, downtown, Pasadena, Long Beach, and Inglewood all in less than an hour. We would all be living much better lives. There are a lot of interesting technologies that the Japanese transit system uses to make trips more efficient, easier, and safer. Above most exit doors are animations that in detail describe what your next movements should be for whatever your next destination is, whether that be a transfer or otherwise. Many lines have safety barrier doors that need to be coordinated with the various trains coming in at the same platform, which is why they implemented the home door QR codes. These home door QR codes are attached to the doors of the train, which are read by the cameras at each exit doorway, so long as they show up at the right spots. It's yet another example of the ingenuity Japanese transit planners use to maintain such a safe and complex transit system. Because a lot of Japan's transit is built on relatively thin tracks, instead of opting for larger trains to hold Tokyo's massive ridership levels, Japan opted for long trains, incredibly long trains, with most lines having more than 10 cars, which makes looking at one end of the train from the other really trippy, especially on trains that have car-to-car access. Even older trains on the outskirts of Tokyo have decently large capacity and are relatively modernized compared to other older lines of transit systems elsewhere. Something about them is also just really cutesy. Though I haven't talked about them much, buses are a great way to get in and around the city as well, but their biggest purpose seems to be connecting residents of outskirt towns to cities on the outskirts of Tokyo, where riders can switch to the trains that take them to nearly any destination they could want. And despite the mountainous terrains outside of Tokyo, the buses have no problem navigating the thin, windy streets and being just as precise as the trains. Another cool feature that Japanese trains have that I know we all took advantage of is the heated seats. These are especially helpful in Japan as they get very cold weather in certain seasons. Apparently cold enough to snow twice during a random week in March. Most people associate transit systems with the sense of danger and dirtiness, but this is far from the case in Tokyo. Despite there being no trash cans like anywhere, I had to carry around my stuff everywhere I went. And why was there so much single-use plastic in Japan? Anyways, a topic for another video. Maintenance, cleanliness, and etiquette mean a lot in Japan, and the transit systems are no exception. Cleaning crews and maintenance workers are constantly upkeeping these massive transit stations throughout the night and day. The moment that train lines stop at the end of the night, they are immediately checked for damages that they may have seen throughout the day's service. While riding, there are a few not so unspoken rules to keep in mind, like being silent, silencing your phone, giving up seats for others, not rushing, properly using the escalators, and a whole number of things. You gotta commend them for their great use of signage. These rules aren't as strict as they may seem, but it is best to abide by them as best you can. Also, the way that the entry and exit of these trains is structured is so awesome, as they have color-coded rows that tell anyone, no matter their language capabilities, how to line up and get on or off the trains. And people listen. It is an incredibly organized system that adds a whole layer of safety, comfortability, and respectfulness to the transit experience. And it truly is wild how organized this system is for how many people use it. Even at the break of dawn, or in our case, the dead of night, these trains are packed with people, truly at all hours of the day. Lastly, I wanted to talk about advertisements, not just on train lines, but throughout the transit system entirely. For those who went to the meetup with executive producer Kenji Sato, you know that advertisements in Japan are different, to say the least. They tend to have a very explosive and colorful presence, while at the same time lacking any sort of narrative. Well, that describes perfectly the advertisements used throughout the transit system. Ads are placed everywhere, throughout the train cars, stations, walkways, and even on your phones. In just the short time I was in Japan, I got an ad on my Instagram for 20% off train and car rentals through Klook, whatever that is. And they even showed me the Shinkansen just to rub it in my face that I never went on it. Anyway, advertising through marketing and real estate in the Japanese rail system is so large that you would think running trains and subways is just a side project for some of these rail companies. I mean, the Odakyu and Keio rail companies even have their own enormous department stores connected to their respective line endings. Oftentimes, these companies make more money on their real estate investments and department store sales than they do on selling train tickets, which says a lot because they make a lot of money selling train tickets. The on-train TV system is also full of different commercials, mini games, and even English teaching lessons, which I initially thought was wild when I first saw it, but I guess isn't too crazy. It all just goes to show how much time the average person in Tokyo spends on the train. There's enough stimulation in these trains to last a lifetime. Anyways, that's pretty much everything I had to say about the Tokyo transit system, and this has felt like a long time. So, since I've never ended one of these before, I'll just leave it at that. Thanks, bye.